Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of AEW Dynamite for January 26th, 2022. This was the Beach Break edition of Dynamite from the very popular beach destination of Cleveland, Ohio in the month of January. We kicked off the show with a big match. We went straight to the ladder match. Cody Rhodes, the TNT Champion, versus Sammy Guevara, the interim TNT Champion. No introductions. We went on the air and we had this match kicking us off on AEW Dynamite. Shout out, by the way, to everybody watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I appreciate your viewership and support. Chat room, feel free to leave your comments about the matches on Dynamite, and I will be putting up some of the topics as we get to this. As we get through the recap, we had a feeling out process in the beginning between Cody and Sammy Guevara. They shook hands to start off the match, but then we got some showboating, and then things started to get more heated between the two of them. They started brawling in the crowd, and Sammy hit this cutter. He came off the barricade with a cutter to Cody. Was not the best looking cutter. They did not even show a replay of it, but everything else in this match looked really good. They started using the ladder, and the first big spot of the match with the ladder, there was a superplex. Cody superplexed Sammy Guevara all the way down off the top of the ladder, and he held him up there for a while before dropping him. That was a great moment. Tony H sent in a $2 super chat, says, a nice AEW and finally watching it and watching a live stream. Well, thank you for that, Tony H. I do appreciate it. Thank you for that super chat. And after the superplex, Sammy was able to make a comeback, but then Cody threw a ladder in his face. Cody climbed the ladder, and then there was a second ladder, which Sammy jumped on, and then off the top of that ladder, he jumped off onto Cody, who was on the other ladder, and hit him with a cutter all the way down. It was absolutely crazy. One of the smoothest ladder match spots I've ever seen. Like, you think of Edge doing that spear from one ladder to the other on Jeff Hardy in midair. And that was maybe the all-time greatest ladder match spot, or Shawn Michaels jumping off the top with the big splash. There's been a lot of classic ones. This one, in my opinion, was definitely up there. I mean, it looked really good. Great moment here on this episode of Dynamite. Totally insane. And then Sammy tried to climb, but he got knocked off. And then both of them were on the ladders again, two ladders. And Cody hit a super crossroads, taking both guys down. They both climbed up again. They were both trying to grab the belts, but they ended up not being able to hold on. They fell down to the mat. And then Cody tried to use the ladder on Sammy's leg, and that's when Fuego del Sol ran down. I guess Cody was going too far here, trying to injure Sammy's leg so he cannot climb the ladder and win the ladder match. Kind of a weird moment here, especially if the crowd's trying to get, or if AEW's trying to get Cody to win a match clean here and not be booed by the fans. He had Fuego del Sol running down, and Cody took him out with a Tiger Driver. Kind of weird here, but I guess that this gives Cody an out now for losing, because you had Fuego del Sol running down. Sammy was able to hit the Go to Hell, and then he put Cody on this ladder bridge that was set up on the outside. He jumped off the ladder with a swanton, but the ladder did not break. Looked like it hurt Sammy more than it did Cody. And then both of them were back in the ring, climbing up again. And Sammy took the belt, hit Cody with it, knocked him off, and then grabbed the belt, grabbed both of them, and was officially the undisputed AEW TNT Champion. Really good match here from these guys. I guess my only nitpicks, number one, I don't think you needed Fuego del Sol interfering in this. Was just kind of weird that he would run down. But like I said, it gives Cody an out for losing. I would have preferred if they just had a straight up match, no interference. And then my other nitpicking is I think that cutter from Sammy should have been the finish. Like the belt shot at the end felt a little bit anticlimactic after all the other stuff that they were doing in this match. But still, really good ladder match from these guys, and both of them really shined. And Sammy Guevara is once again your TNT champion. And people talking about Johnny Gargano. I will bring him up here in just a little bit, so stay tuned for that. We had a promo with Team Taz, Ricky Starks, and Will Hobbs. They were at the beach. This was Beach Break after all, and they were there with Tony Schiavone, frozen beach and all, cutting a promo. Good stuff here. We then had Wardlow, who they are now dubbing as Mr. Mayhem, going up against two local guys, 2-on-1, and they billed him from Cleveland, Ohio, and the crowd popped big for him. He did his version of Suplex City, which is the Powerbomb Symphony. He powerbombed the guys multiple times, stacked them. He might as well just go out there and say, "Feed me more," because he's basically Ryback at this point, just coming out there, beating the crap out of people. And hey, I'm all for it. I love the destruction. Sean Spears then came down afterwards, and he had this shirt just like The Rock. You know, The Rock had "Just Bring It" as his T-shirt back in the day. Well, Sean Spears had a T-shirt that said "Just Swing It" with the same font and everything. Michael Wayne, you got to stop being so negative about AEW. I see you on Twitter and you're in here. You're always trying to take shots at AEW, man. Yeah, like, if you don't like the show, then why are you here? Just saying, Michael. Love you, man. We had the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, Santana, and Ortiz up against 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. 2.0 and Daniel Garcia got no intro, which usually you know what that means. Basically, the storyline of this match was Chris Jericho not getting along with Santana and Ortiz. There's dissension amongst the ranks, and Santana tagged himself right in when Jericho was starting the match, and they did not tag out to Jericho. They basically did the match on their own, but then there was a moment where Jericho on the outside of the ring, he was just watching for a while, and then he hit the Judas effect onto, I believe, Matt Lee, and then Santana got the pin, Jericho being the difference maker, even though they wanted nothing to do with him in the match. So they're keeping that storyline going on. We had a couple of video packages and interview segments. Hangman Adam Page, the AEW World Champion, will be defending against Lance Archer in 2 weeks in a Texas death match. And also this Friday on Rampage, it will be Jurassic Express going up against Private Party. Tony H, I have no idea where Jake Hager is at this point, and to be honest, I have not really noticed his absence from AEW television. We had CM Punk come to the ring for a promo, and he asked the people if they're sick of hearing him talk. They said no. He said he's sick of hearing himself talk, though, because he wants to fight. He's tired of talking. He wants to fight MJF. He has MJF's scarf and thought that maybe that would bring MJF to the ring for a match, but then he went on Amazon and found out that you can buy a pack of those scarves for $5. And he said that MJF will have any excuse in the world to not fight him. MJF then arrived and said no, he will not be fighting CM Punk in Cleveland, Ohio. However, he will do it next week in CM Punk's hometown of Chicago. He called it a dream match. He said after he beats CM Punk in Chicago, people will see the real CM Punk, the guy who will lose his fake smile and will leave wrestling again. He talked about how CM Punk was scheduled to appear in Cleveland back in 2014. That was the Raw after the Royal Rumble, but he no-showed. And the crowd was still behind CM Punk. And CM Punk responded by saying that if it wasn't for him returning, MJF would not have gotten his brush with greatness. And CM Punk said that the reason people love him is because he is true to himself and he gets back up when he's knocked down. He said he fights. And then we had the Pinnacle show up. You had Shawn Spears attack CM Punk from behind, and they beat the crap out of CM Punk. Wardlow was ordered to powerbomb CM Punk, and he hesitated for a little bit, teasing that eventual breakup, but he did end up powerbombing CM Punk on a steel chair. And then MJF did the CM Punk sit right on CM Punk. He literally sat on him, and that was the end of the segment. So nice build up here. They're doing the match next week, which I definitely think is the right move rather than try to drag it out into Revolution. And they always could do some kind of rematch. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this segment. Nice build up for the match. Moving on here, we had Leyla Hirsch versus Red Velvet, 9:15, so a little bit before 9:30. Match was okay, but man, there was not much heat for this match. It was pretty dead, and that's unusual for an AEW match. Typically, the fans are very into pretty much everything on the show, but yeah, it was quiet for this one. They're trying to build up Leyla Hirsch as a heel now, and she put on the finisher submission, the legit lock, but Velvet was able to get to the rope, and then Velvet got a near fall with an inside cradle. She went for a kick, but then Leyla caught her and pinned her while holding the tights. And then after the match, attacked her, put on the Leyla lock again, or the legit lock, and then Chris Statlander ran down to make the save. Michael Wayne says he's not negative about AEW, but then he says Mr. Botch's Red Velvet. I rest my case. Match was okay. Wasn't lighting the world on fire or anything, but it was all right. We had a House of Black promo from Malachi Black and Brody King, and they basically said that Pac and Death Triangle will be humble. They're gonna pay. We then had Tony Schiavone bring out Britt Baker. She had a bunch of awards. She had the PWI awards. She had the Inside the Rope award for Female of the Year. She did not have a NoDQ.com award because, well, she did not win it. Sasha Banks did. She talked about her accomplishments, all the stuff she's done to win these awards, and she crapped on Cleveland sports. I guess there's a guy named Baker. I'm not a sports guy, so to me, this was just her rambling, and I was kind of bored with it, to be totally honest. Wasn't my favorite Britt Baker promo. I think a really good promo, you can pretty much universally get everyone into it. But if you're not a Cleveland sports person, like, are you really going to care that much about this promo? I don't know. Wasn't her best work, in my opinion. To me, the sports stuff is cheap heat, and every once in a while it's memorable, like when Elias got the whole building in Seattle to just completely crap on him, or The Rock with the Rock concert. But to me, this wasn't even close to either of those moments. We then had our main event of the evening. We had Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy in a lights out match. Basically means that it's an unsanctioned match and it doesn't count in the win-loss records, which is kind of a giveaway as to who's going to win. You know, Adam Cole undefeated in AEW. So when they announced this match lights out, I'm like, oh, Orange Cassidy will get a win here. But technically, it's not a win because it's an unsanctioned match. So that's the one negative to doing these matches when you see what's going on with the win-loss record and everything. So they did a hockey fight right off the bat. Orange Cassidy was not fooling around. He was dead serious. He was taking the fight to Adam Cole. They went to the outside, and Adam Cole was going for a steel chair under the ring. He grabbed it, but then Dan Housing, who's this guy who kind of looks like Sting a little bit. I know nothing about this guy, by the way. I know he's got a huge internet following, but I know zero about him. He looks like Sting, and he's kind of a goofy persona. He was there, and he started taunting Adam Cole, and then he just left, and that was that. So we went back to the match. And by the way, this was the debut. This was the debut on the show. No Johnny Gargano on this show, despite all of the talk about him possibly showing up. No Johnny Gargano on this show, which I suppose that means that the Royal Rumble is still a possibility. So the match continued, and Cassidy put Cole through a table and then went for the orange punch, but Cole used the ring bell to protect himself, to basically shield himself from the orange punch. Then we had a bunch of people running down. Brandon Cutler, and then Wheeler Yuta stopped him. Then we had Bobby Fish and Chucky run down. Then we had the Young Bucks show up with super kicks, and then we had Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero show up. It was just tons of pandemonium. And then back in the ring, Orange Cassidy hit the beach break, but Adam Cole kicked out. Cole went for a low blow, but Orange Cassidy was, in fact, wearing a cup. So he is officially smarter than AJ Styles, because all those matches, AJ Styles never wore a cup, and Orange Cassidy was smart enough to wear a cup. There you go. And I have not forgotten that. All those matches with Nakamura, AJ Styles was never smart enough to wear a cup. He just kept getting those low blows time and time again. And it still bothers me to this day. And Ryan made a great point there. I mean, my feeling all along was that Johnny Gargano was going to take a pretty lengthy absence. He was going to see the birth of his child and then maybe come back later in the year. So, I mean, it's always possible he could show up in the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant, maybe even just a one-off appearance. I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, at this point, I would not expect Gargano until at least a couple of months. So moving on here. Oh, and the cup also had thumbtacks on it. So yeah, Orange Cassidy is a smart guy, and I like it. Smart babyface. Michael Wayne, you have to give AEW props on this one. Smart babyface is good. Good storytelling, Michael Wayne. So now we move on here, and you had Cassidy hitting a Panama Sunrise on Cole, but of course Cole kicked out. And would you expect anything different? When was the last time a Panama Sunrise ended a match? Just saying. Like I cannot remember one to my knowledge. It's like Sami Zayn's Blue Thunder Bomb. It never wins a match. It looks cool, but it never leads to a victory. I never buy it, but the live crowd always does. So I guess more power to them. They were chanting, "This is awesome" after that. Like, I guess that Panama Sunrise move, like it's a move that everybody thinks is really cool looking, kind of like the Canadian Destroyer, but it never wins matches. Yet people always buy it as a finisher, as a near fall. Whatever. I mean, if it works, you might as well keep doing it, and it works. But yeah, I don't get it. Anyways, moving on here. Adam Cole tried to retreat. He went into the backstage area where Tony Khan was and Jerry Lynn. Cole ended up putting Cassidy through Tony Khan's table. And then they ended up back on the stage, and Cole was climbing the scaffold by the entrance tunnel, and Cassidy went up after him. They were both up there, and then Orange Cassidy gave Cole the hug of doom. Cole was trapped, and then Orange Cassidy launched himself and Cole off the top of the tunnel, and they went through the bottom structure, the staging area, and then Cole was pinned by Cassidy. Doesn't count in the record books, but Orange Cassidy was in fact your winner of the Lights Out match. So really fun match here. The opening match, the main event, both pay-per-view quality matches. The show was really good. Very good episode of Dynamite. Definitely a recommend, especially the beginning and the end of the show. Nice build-up with CM Punk and MJF. If you're a Dan Housing fan, then you definitely liked this show. You'll want to check that out. But no Johnny Gargano, and I was like thinking maybe he would show up, but also at the same time I was thinking we might not see him until later in the year. But yeah, very, very good Dynamite this week. Definitely a recommend. And that's it. We got Beach Break Rampage coming up on Friday. And then next week, we got CM Punk versus MJF in Chicago. That'll be a big match. And then in 2 weeks, we got Adam Page versus Lance Archer, Texas Death Match. Thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I appreciate your viewership and support. And if you did enjoy the video, please give it a like. And go over to No DQ's Facebook, facebook.com/NoDQDOTCOM. And please, if you can, leave a recommendation for No DQ. Any positive comment would be much appreciated, and give it a recommend. The recommends help the page get more likes and viewers, and that can go a long way. So head over to facebook.com/NoDQDOTCOM. Stay tuned to the site for all the latest news. And don't forget this Saturday, we got the Royal Rumble coming up, and the No DQ review. Lots of stuff coming up on the channel. Make sure you tell a friend. Have a great night, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you all next time.